Pat Mayo Hour.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Hour UFC Sacramento DraftKings picks and preview. I do want to let everyone know out there that this is the last UFC show for 2016, unless Cody Saftik is around before was it UFC 207 now?
Yeah, UFC 207, which I'm going to be in Vegas
You're
for.
going to be there.
So either we shoot it earlier in the week, which there won't be DK prices, or maybe we do a phone or something.
When do you leave?
I think on the 28th.
28th, that's what day I get back. So
Get back
probably no show for that one, if I'm going to say. But we do have a bunch of content coming out over the Christmas season. I may or may not have a sit-down with Robin Black.
Oh, do you?
Like a Life and Times of Robin Black, like
Life
back
and
when he was like
Times.
the lead singer of a band.
Or you're going to ask all the real questions.
Robin has like the coolest story ever. So I kind of want to get it on film.
All right.
And who better to ask than me?
Who better?
I said, let's get the best interviewer in the office to ask Robin all these questions. And then Pollock said he wasn't available, so I'm like, hey, I'll do it. We also have you and I sat down, did a Black Mirror recap. We're going to do two parts of that, episodes 1 through 3, 4 through 6, all spoilers. If you've seen Black Mirror, it should be fun.
Oh, yeah, good show.
We enjoy Black Mirror a lot. There's a Seinfeld bracket coming out. I'll be filming that
I
later
heard you
today.
doing that today.
Best Christmas movies we have coming out, and a golf preview for, the UFC fans that really don't like golf. You can watch the golf preview.
Best Christmas movie is Gremlins, by the way. But yeah, Sacramento.
Gremlins made the list.
It better have.
It made the list. It was not number one, though. Sacramento. Let's hear it. Cash game.
Okay, cash game. We're going to go with Irene Aldana. First and foremost, Leslie Smith is super tough.
0 DraftKings points on average for Irene here.
That's because in her UFC debut, it never happened yet. So this is her first ever UFC fight. She is a 29-year-old Mexican fighter. She trains at the Lobo gym in Mexico. She trains with a number of good...
Los Lobos?
Yeah, a number of good rising prospects. So she fights for Invicta FC, and she starts off, and she's right on a tear, right? Gets a couple quality wins. She's finishing girls. She's very dynamic with her footwork. Good boxing, obviously. Got the whole skill base together, right? They give her a title shot. Unfortunately, against Tanya Evinger, who's the Dan Henderson of women's fighting, she just broke her down. And by the 4th round, this girl's just broken. And then Tanya Evinger, who's a very, very credible champion, one of the best girls in the division, is able to beat her. She rebounds from that with a pair of first-round finishes. She beats Faith Van Duyn, and she also beats, what's her name?
You have no idea.
Jessamine Duke.
Oh.
Jessamine Duke. So, she gets a couple wins. Now, the thing is, when she's fighting mediocre competition, she's buzzsawing them. She's killing them. And what you want on a cash game is and a GPP, want that first-round finish.
I mean, I guess that's the one distinction between cash game and GPP. Like, you can afford to take fewer risks on a cash game because you only need to get to a certain point to beat half the field. But if you have someone that is going to buzzsaw someone in the first or second round, you want that person on either team.
You want that person on either team. Now, the thing with Leslie Smith is very, very tough and very, very durable. So when I was talking about Bookie Beatdown and I'm looking at the value, the line, I don't necessarily agree with the line on Irene Aldana. Aldana's like a 3-1 favorite, right? Now, Aldana's very talented, but one, she's never really fought the highest level other than when she fought Tanya Evinger and she lost. And besides that, she had fought a girl named Larissa Pacheco in Brazil and had lost in the 3rd round as well. So she can start out well in the 1st round. She can start out well in the 2nd round. In the 3rd and 4th and 5th round, that's when she's breaking apart. She's never been to a 5th round, but we've seen her lose in the 3rd and the 4th. Leslie Smith's super durable. Leslie Smith can take you into deep waters. That's why there is some risk attached with this fight. The thing is, Leslie Smith is A, 34 years old. B, she had never been knocked out in her career, and in her last fight, she got knocked down in approximately a minute against Cyborg. We'll get to that. And besides that, she's just on a terrible run right now. She's won one of her last 3 fights. In one of her, as I said, she never got knocked out, but she's been TKO'd twice. Cyborg completely knocked her out.
Doesn't Cyborg knock everyone out?
Exactly. That's why I take it with a grain of salt. It's totally fine. The fight before that, Pat, she was taking on Jessica Eye. Jessica Eye, I like her.
Evil Eye.
The evil eye. But she doesn't win a whole lot. She's a talented girl. She's a pretty girl. She doesn't win a whole lot. Now, she takes on Leslie Smith. She beats the crap out of Leslie Smith to the tune that Leslie Smith's ear starts to fall off.
Ew.
Okay? True story. It starts to fall off. So the ref's like, yeah, this is done. Leslie Smith's like, I don't care about my ear. And they're just like, yeah, well, we're not.
We do.
We're not going to detach your ear so you can keep losing this fight. So they called the fight off. So she's 34, right? She hasn't made a whole lot of money in the sport. She's getting older. She is battle-tested. She's worn down. She's 8-7-1 as a pro. 8 wins, 7 losses, and a draw.
And now Mean Irene's going to come in and beat the shit out of her?
Well, then Leslie Smith decides, I haven't really made a whole lot of money. And Cyborg just beat the crap out of me. And this ear, that's pretty nasty. I'm going to try to start a union. So she tries to join this union. Not the big union that's
her
going
own
on right
union?
now. It was a separate effort. So she's been on the sidelines. She's just had her head in other places. Now there's better unions. Well, fighter association starts to get formed, so she quits hers, saying like a breach of interest. Like they had given away some names that they weren't supposed to. So she
named names.
They named names, and she was like, "You never name names." So now she's getting to come back to the UFC. I don't think the UFC is too happy with her. I think she's a girl that has been vocal in spots that they probably don't appreciate too much. She's lost 3 of her last 4 fights. She has not looked exceptional. Her one win over Rin Nakai was a decision over a girl who's 5 feet tall and never even threw any strikes back. She's just on the downswing of her career. Now you're looking at Irene Aldana, who's on the upswing of her career. Would I bet this for the minus 300? No, because I know how good Leslie Smith can be if she's on.
But DraftKings-wise?
It's $9,100, which is expensive, but I can afford it. And if I can't afford it, then I'm going to take it because I view her as one of the safer picks on this card. This card has a lot of fights that the dog has a very good chance of coming through. This one, the dog does have a good chance, but I think for 9,100, I'm going to play that on the cash game.
Colby Covington, 8,900 versus your boy, Barbarina?
Yeah, I was going to put Colby Covington on my cash and my GPP. That's how much I like this guy, but I don't want him on my GPP just because Brian Barberina is super tough, and Colby Covington, wrestler, grappler, he does score well traditionally. He'll take you down, rinse and repeat over and over. He'll as we were talking about in prior episodes, the way that DraftKings is structured now, ground-style fighters can get you a lot more points, right? Because he'll get the takedown, which is 5 points, but also get these ground transitions. He'll move to half guard, or he'll move to side control. He'll eventually take your back, and he'll eventually work for that choke. In his last 2 fights, he's gotten late finishes in both of them. So I know this guy's versatile. I know that he's a finisher, and at 28 years old, he's certainly getting better all the time training at American Top Team. When you look at Brian Barberina is an overachiever. 2 fights ago, he was a 3-1 dog against Sage Northcutt. But hey, pulled off the big win on Sage. So in his last fight, he's a 3-1 dog again against Warley Alves. But hey, Warley Alves got tired after that first round. Barberina sneaks his way back in. Now he's a 3-1 dog again. But is he going to come through as a third time as the dog? I don't see it. I like the guy. I think he's very entertaining. I think he's a good dude. And I know people like him. However, this is a bad style fight for him, considering that Chad Laprise and Sage Northcutt were both taking this guy down. Those guys do not have collegiate wrestling backgrounds, which Colby Covington does. Colby Covington used to be John Jones's roommate in Iowa.
So he does a lot of cocaine?
That remains to be seen. But what he can do is he can wrestle and he can finish. And I think that he's a guy that's definitely, I don't want to say he's a prospect because he's 28, but he's a blue chip guy on his way up. I think sky's the limit for him. I think he's definitely improving. And I think in this spot, he's going to take Brian Barberina down. He's going to control him. He's going to pound him. Do I think he gets the finish? It's possible, but not necessarily, and that's why I pulled him off of my GPP
But he can
team.
pile up a lot of points for cash game purposes, win by decision, and still get you like 80 points.
80 points for a decision win, and if he happens to get that late finish, he'll get 100 points.
Josh Emmett is next up. Now, I always have a problem with people who have first names as last names. So should we really be trusting this guy for $8,700?
Here's the thing. How popular of a first name is Emmett? You'll say, Emmett Smith. Do you know any other Emmets?
Emmett from Emmett's Fix-It Shop from the Andy Griffith Show.
Well, there you go.
Now
Looks like I lost that one.
Now I'm going down to Emmett's Fix-It Shop to fix Emmett.
To fix Emmett. Yeah, maybe he has 2 first names. Who am I to judge? First of all, he's from Sacramento. This is where he trains at a Team Alpha Male, not the local gym. There's a couple gyms in Sacramento, obviously, but the big gym, the one that has the most marquee name brand because of Uriah Faber and his crew of killers over there. Josh Emmett's 31 years old, a little bit older, but the guy wrestled in his youth, wrestled, I think, 1 year collegiately, and then got into MMA. He's picked up a lot of skills, and when you see him in the gym, he almost has like that prototypical alpha male style. Good power wrestler, moves well, but also there's very little glimpses of like a TJ Dillashaw or Joseph Benavidez in him when you see him try to move around. His footwork has improved leaps and bounds, and you almost see it's like that Dwayne Ludwig system. I know Ludwig's not there anymore, but he's picking up those skills, and I think at 31, he's a little old to pick up the skills, but he's done a good job of what he has of putting it all together. He's 10-0. I hadn't really heard of him when he was 8-0. Then he beat a guy that I'm a very big fan of, Christos Giagos, knocks Giagos out, comes to the UFC. In the UFC, he takes the fight on short notice, wins the first 2 rounds easy. In the 3rd round, he breaks his finger. Now, his finger almost actually came off. It was nasty. But as he's trying to fix his hand and run away from this guy, he still wins the fight. I like Josh Emmett. Now he's not on short notice. Now his finger's not broken. He's going to have a full camp. He's going to have his hometown support behind him. I like Emmett. Scott Holtzman's issue is Scott Holtzman is almost like a poor man's Josh Emmett. Now, he played semi-professional hockey in Nashville for the majority of his life. Now, obviously, Nashville, not exactly a hotbed for hockey because it's a southern state.
It's in America, not Canada?
Well, they have an NHL team, but you know what I mean. So he plays semi-professional. Then eventually he decides, okay, hockey's done for me. no money in semi-professional hockey.
Like, was he a goon in semi-professional hockey, or was he like a legitimate player?
Well, considering that he's 155 pounds and 5'8", I think. I don't think he was a goon. However, in semi-professional Tennessee hockey, it's possible that he would just go in there and completely smack these guys around. But my real thought process on this is, let's say you're playing semi-pro hockey, right? And now you're 29 years old, and you're like, oh my God, I just devoted my life to playing a sport that pays no money. Okay, you know what? I got to get out of here. I'm going to switch, and I'm going to go to another sport that pays absolutely no money. Okay, MMA, here we go. He's 33 years old now, and you see he's picking up skills, but I think it's too late for him, right? He'll be able to win some quality fights. I believe he's 3-1 in the UFC right now. He's a talented guy. It's just there's levels to this. And whereas he's gotten himself into maybe that top 30 rank, maybe not even, maybe top 50, he's never really going to improve much more than that. Case in point, he's only lost to Drew Dober. Drew Dober goes in, and Drew Dober just outworks him. Drew Dober is as mid-pack as a guy as you're ever going to get. Drew Dober fights Olivier Aubé-Mercier last weekend in Toronto. Aubé-Mercier, people are saying, is very average, and he kills Drew Dober. Kills him. That's the levels to this. Scott Holtzman is at the bottom echelon of that level. Josh Emmett is on his way up, right? So when I think about this fight, they do match up similar, and I think Emmett goes in there, and I think Emmett wins all 3 rounds. I think he takes him down. I think he beats him standing. I think he grinds him. But I don't know that he finishes because Holtzman is very tough and very durable, and for that reason, I also pulled him off my GPP team. I like Emmett a lot. I like Covington a lot, but I decided to go big on the risk for the GPP.
So quickly to round out your cash team, you have 2 more guys in the 8,000s because you went with Brad Pickett at $6,000 against Faber. Why is he gonna go the distance? I guess is my question.
Okay. Well, so here's the thing why I think he's $6,000, right? So as I talked about, we're in Sacramento. UFC, I believe, first time going to Sacramento, and Uriah Faber is the California kid, but really, he's a Sacramento kid. He's always repped that town. He's always tried to put them on the map, and really, he's done a fantastic job. Now he's coming to the twilight of his career. He's 37 years old. He hasn't had a good fight in a while, man. I mean, probably, in my opinion, since he fought Michael McDonald a long time ago, since then, it's just poor fight after poor fight. Now, sometimes he wins. Hey, he can go and choke out Bruce Leroy in the 3rd round. Just not a great fight. Oh, he poked Francisco Rivera in the eye and got a bulldog choke. Just not a great fight. And then other than that, the high-end guys, the upper echelon guys, they're all smoking him. So his last time against Jimmy Rivera, it's a non-contender at the time. Jimmy Rivera will grow into a contender. But these are the spots that he normally strives in. These are the spots he normally wins. And he got decimated. He never came close to a takedown. He landed hardly any punches. He just got chewed up the entire time. So he decides coming into this one, I want to retire. Now, when you go on record saying before your last fight, this is my retirement fight, it hardly ever works out, right? We know he's 37. We know he's thinking about what's going on after fighting. Then he starts making these weird quotes. I mean, he owns a gym. Now he's opening up a second gym. And when they go to the countdown show follows him around. Yeah, he's in the gym a little bit, but he's also at his new gym being like, oh, this is where the desk is going to go. And that's a business-oriented mind, right? And he's already thinking about what's beyond this. So then about 3 days ago, Pat, I see an interview with this guy. He says, you know what? My mind feels great and my body feels great, but I just don't have that desire anymore, you know? So this is going to be my last fight.
I guess the question is this Brad Pickett guy good enough to beat him?
Yeah, Brad Pickett is 38 years old, so he's a year older than Faber, actually. But Brad Pickett has been around just as long as Faber has. I mean, they both fought in the WEC. This guy was killing it in cage rage a long time ago. He's very, very well traveled. Whereas Faber's fought all the best guys, Pickett's fought all the best guys too. The difference is Faber's won a world title. Faber's challenged for UFC gold. Pickett has never won a world title. He's never challenged it for UFC gold. Now he's going to this guy's backyard. He's older than him. On paper, I totally get where people are coming from. Well, Faber should go and smoke this guy. Here's the thing. Brad Pickett can wrestle. He's actually a decent wrestler. And Uriah Faber, his wrestling's just regressing. It was never great to begin with, but it was good on Gladiator Challenge when you can just take guys down like Sean Blast, who didn't know what the hell they were doing. You can take these guys down and you can pound them. When you see him in the WEC, he's wrestling guys that don't know how to wrestle. Now that he's gotten to the UFC and now that he's a little older, these guys all stuff his takedowns. And I expect Pickett to stuff the takedowns as well. So that causes it to be a stand-up battle. Uriah Faber throws one punch at a time. He is very predictable in that he feints, overhand right, left hook, feints, overhand right. Buddy, it ain't working. People have figured him out. And that's why he's losing a lot now. Pickett's a better stand-up boxer. Pickett is going to be a little slower than him, certainly slower than him, but he's a better technical boxer. He can stuff the takedown, and he's going to go the distance. And if he doesn't go the distance, he's going to win. So for $6,000,
Might as well get
I'm
those points.
taking him
Yeah.
because then I'm going to take everybody else I like, and I'm going to be okay.
Who are the other two here, very quickly?
Bojan Velichkovic, $8,600.
Taking on the Sultan.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to put away Sultan Aliyev. Sultan Aliyev's got 2 pro losses. One of them, his last fight, he got knocked out in like a minute and a half. Then he proceeds to take off 2 years. So, doesn't bode well for him. Velichkovic, however, doesn't really have the punching power. He's very versatile. He's very well-rounded. 27, trains out of Colorado, putting all the skills together. And I do expect him to get the win here. But I expect him to get the win by decision. It's not the sexiest thing, but for the cash game, I'll take it. Hector Sandoval, $8,100. Hector Sandoval, another guy from Team Alpha Male from Sacramento. He makes his UFC debut on like 3 days' notice against a guy that was supposed to challenge for the title, and he got choked out in a minute and a half. So I think it's real easy to be like,
he's terrible.
Let's write him off. His opponent, his opponent wrestled in the Olympics. Ooh, geez. I want the Olympian guy. Yeah, do you? Because he wrestled in the Olympics for... not Bolivia, Colombia, right, Colombia. So the wrestling program's not exactly good. Second of all, he's 37 years
Did he
old.
win at the Olympics?
No, he just went to the Olympics, right? And if he won at the Olympics, that'd be a big deal. However, he just competed at the Olympics. He's 37 years old. He's tiny. He's got no ring IQ. Like, instead of shooting takedowns, he's do front flips in his last fight. It made no sense. It was like, what are you doing? Ryan Benoit's standing right in front of you. Why are you trying to do front flips, you idiot, right? And he loses the decision. Now, I'm going to say it because, I like saying greasy theories. However, it's not my theory. Let's just clear that right now. This guy's looked noticeably a lot less athletic since USADA came around. So, don't know what kind of Colombian pharmaceuticals he's on, but he just hasn't looked the same. And I think that's part of that is 37. Part of that is the same thing we were saying with Scott Holtzman. You can't really teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach him a couple things. The guy clearly knows how to wrestle. You can throw a punch or a kick, but he's not a fighter. And when I look at this spot against Hector Sandoval has, put it this way, right? Freddie Serrano has 4 pro fights. 4. When he made his UFC debut, he had 1 fight. 1 fight. Flip side to that, I look at Hector Sandoval and I think, okay, the guy's got 14 fights. He's won world titles in other organizations prior to coming to the UFC. He'll be okay. He's short. He's fast. He likes to use his wrestling, which obviously he's not going to be able to use against the Olympian, but I think he gets the win.
GPP. Mean Irene. She's leading the team again.
Yeah, Mean Irene. If she's gonna cut this girl up and beat her up, then that's the way it is. I'm not saying the ear's going to fall off, but referees have a choice, right? When you're seeing someone get hit repeatedly over and over and they're not really defending themselves, they'll tell you.
They'll stop the fight.
They'll stop the fight. And a lot of the time, the fighter's like, what are you doing? I'm still standing. It's like, yeah, but you're just getting teed off on, right? Irene's fast and she has good hands. Leslie Smith is extremely slow and extremely hittable, so I think that is the plausible path to victory.
Out of all the people on this card, when I look at average DraftKings points per fight, De Silva's one of the highest. He's averaging 113 DraftKings points per fight. How many fights is that? Like 1? 2. 2?
Yeah.
So he just kills guys?
Undefeated in his pro career. Comes into the UFC. He takes on Jonathan Wilson. The thing with Jonathan Wilson is the guy's a talented guy as well, but Luis Henrique de Silva just goes out and they just go at it, man. And you know what? He prevails. He gets hit a lot and he gets hurt a lot, but he hurts Jonathan Wilson. Jonathan Wilson takes him down. He sweeps Wilson, gets on top, finishes him. Good little fight. Follows that up against Joaquin Christensen. Joaquin Christensen's a black belt. This guy's a purple belt. What armbar is the black belt? Solid performance. We know he's got Muay Thai skills. We know he's got jiu-jitsu skills. We know he can take one hell of a punch. And they call him Frankenstein. Mostly because his name's just a bunch of different names all pieced together, but also because he can take one hell of a punch like Frankenstein. I like the guy. He's very, very, very risky. It's just the way he fights. So he's
perfect for a GPP.
He's perfect for a GPP, just not great for a cash game. The problem with Paul Craig is also undefeated, and he's known as the Bear Jew. Do you really want to put money against a guy known as the Bear Jew? Not likely. Not likely. So we're going to take the move on Luis Henrique de Silva, but it's a GPP, so take your risk there. Mickey Gall, $8,200.
Mickey Gall coming off a big win against CM Punk? Wasn't he the guy?
Yeah, exactly.
So quality of opponent, very high.
Very, very low. And this is going across his entire career. The one reason I would play him...
Isn't Sage Northcutt good?
Yeah, and I think Sage Northcutt's going to win the fight. But this is a GPP for $8,200. So when you're thinking about the outcome of that fight, it's a 50-50 fight, Pat. Both guys got past to victory. If you look at the betting line, it's even money. So which side are you going to take? I'm leaning towards Sage Northcutt. But when you're looking at an actual DK team or a GPP team, if Northcutt's going to win... I have a feeling he's going to have to take him into deep water or just win the decision. In his last fight against Enrique Marin, he was taking on a 155-pounder, and he had to go to the decision with him. And he had all types of spots in that fight where it was like, ooh, this kid's not looking good, and he's got grappling deficiencies. Now you look at Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall's 170 pounds, so he's bigger than Enrique Marin. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu against under David Adiv, so he's better at Jiu-Jitsu. So all the things that Sage Northcutt does poorly, Mickey Gall does well. and Mickey Gall's bigger than him.
So what you're saying is that if Gall wins, it's going to be quick. If Northcutt wins, it's going to be late. So we're taking Gall because the potential for more points is there.
If Gall wins this fight, he's going to take Sage Northcutt down in the first round. He's going to get on top of him. He's going to beat him down. He's going to choke him out. Certainly possible. And he'll get it done. If he's going to win this fight, he's going to get it done soon. If Sage is going to win this fight, he's going to use his strength, his physicality, his speed, his tools, the more experience, and he's just going to work Mickey Gall. So for GPP, I want fast finishes. $8,200, I'm going to take that.
Alain Jobin?
Alain Jobin is not the popular pick. Everyone's going to take Mike Perry. I would assume Mike Perry would be one of the higher-owned guys because he's also well-priced. Mike Perry's got 2 fights in the UFC. He's knocked out both guys.
And he's averaging 130 DraftKings points per game.
Yeah, he's going to be super well-played. He's undefeated in his career. I believe he's 9-0 now. And as I mentioned, 2-0 in the UFC, 2 big knockouts. He's got a good, well, not a good personality, but fans seem to enjoy him. He's polarizing. He's got the goods. He can go out there. He can fight. That's all well and good. I really think people are going to play Mike Perry hard. I'm going to take Jobin.
Is Mike Perry that guy that we went against last time because he was a big racist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Bad move.
And he won.
Like,
quickly.
No, third round knockout.
So no, he was the underdog and won, right?
He was the underdog and he won. And as I mentioned, after that performance, a lot of people were like, you know what, Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts is a pretty tough guy. And then you have Mike Perry come in here, and he's brash, and he's cocky, and he's got a great chin. I mean, like, he's standing in the pocket with you. You'll hit him, and he'll hit you back. The punches that he's landing on you are doing the significant damage. The punches that you land on him, he just seems to take. That's how he's fought his last 2 fights against Hungyu Lim, and obviously his last fight as well. So the guy's good. He's getting better. Problem is he's 5'10". He's a very small welterweight. Second problem is that he's extremely hittable. In all of his fights, he's getting hit quite frequently. And you can look at him fights before he signed with the UFC where he's getting dropped. In fact, one of them, he's out cold, and then the round ends. And then they basically wake him back up, and bastard wins in the second round, right? So there's no denying he's a tough guy. But he's tough, he's brash, he's cocky, he likes to get in there, and he likes to bang. Alain Jobin, I've made the mistake on Alain Jobin in the past of being like, you know what, the guy's a Versace model. He's a 35-year-old Versace model. Does he really want to get in there and get into a firefight? No, I don't think so. So he takes on good quality opposition. And you know what he's proving is that he's a very dynamic striker. He's very quick. He's very accurate. He's got good stinging power, great elbows, good footwork. And you know what? He's not so much of a pretty boy. He can go. In his last fight, he wins the first 2 rounds. He drops the guy 4 times in the first 2 rounds. Problem is, in the third round, now he's getting tired. Now he's getting hit. But he's able to survive. He survives to win the fight 2-1. When I think about this fight, I really think to myself, okay, first of all, a lot of people are going to be obviously on Mike Perry. But aside from all that, the way Mike Perry fights is get in your face, get in the pocket and try to pressure you. But he's way smaller than Alain Jobin. Alain Jobin's faster, probably got as much pop as him. And if this kid's coming in on Jobin hits him and moves around, he's going to hurt him, man. He's going to hurt him a lot. Why? Because I've seen the guy get hurt before. It's just we haven't seen him get hurt in the UFC. So I think Jobin is extremely underrated at $7,700. He's got a great possibility for the finish here. He's a guy that you're talking about average point scorer. Jobin's not no slouch either. I mean, he's a guy that traditionally puts up a good amount of points as well.
80 on average.
80 on average. I think he has 3 first-round finishes in his UFC career. So I don't mind Alain Jobin one bit.
All right, rest of the team. Cole Miller and James
Muntazri. Yeah, James Muntazri, bronze medalist from the Pan American Games in Taekwondo. Fairly young guy, trains at a black house. This guy's just very dynamic. Problem is, everyone that fights him usually is like, why would I want to stay in front of James Muntazri? The guy's got pop. He's very versatile with his kicks. He's tricky. What's he going to throw, right? Is he going to spin on me? Is he going to throw some straight punches? I don't know. So what do? They just take him down. Kevin Lee's like, yeah, I'll just take him down. Takes him down, beats him up. Alex Oliveira's last time, I was like, yeah, I'll just take him down. Takes him down, beats him up. That's the problem with this guy, is that he's a good striker, and he's not exactly great on the ground. Alex Morono is not really a ground fighter. He's a brawler. He wants to get in there, and he wants to brawl. We saw his fight with Kyle Noak. He won a split decision in a fight that could have gone either way, but mostly he's just swinging at nothing. Like, he misses a lot of punches, and they're all, like, overhand rights that, like, come from here, and, like, a left hand that comes from here. It's like, who's teaching you these angles, man? Now I think about Muntazri, I'm like, this is not the kind of guy you want to make a mistake against, you know? If you swing and you miss, you're going to need a spinning back kick to the body, and it's going to fold you. Why? I've seen him fold guys with spinning back kicks to the body before. He's very fast. He's very versatile. When you think about a GPP, you think, okay, I want a guy, striker versus striker? Good, that's how you're going to score some points. Much better striker against lackluster striker. Ooh, I got to take him. And then you look at the price, and you're like, $7,800. He's got a good shot to win the fight, a great shot to finish the fight, and for $7,800, I'm going to take that play.
All right, Cole Miller?
Cole Miller, this is not the sexiest pick. $8,100, that's all right. I mean, he's priced well. Mizuta Harada is very tough, very versatile, and this is an even money fight. I mean, both guys are going to have path to victory. The one thing I'm taking with it is that Cole Miller's got 2 things, technically 3 things that I think will lead the day for him. First of all, he's 7 inches taller.
Okay.
Second of all, he's got a 7-inch reach advantage. And third of all, he's a black belt in BJJ, whereas Mizuta Harada is not. Mizuta Harada has typically had problems in the past. Now, quick little story for you. Mizuta Harada is a Sengoku champion, and I like this guy. Fighting on the Japanese regional scene, picking up some wins, he's looking good, okay? He beats a guy who happens to be teammates with another man by the name of Shinya Aoki. Shinya Aoki is a very pissed off Asian man. Does not like most people. Doesn't like people beating his training partners. So he gets this fight with Mizuta Harada. Takes him down, gets him in a hammerlock. Now, a hammerlock is essentially what cops try to subdue drunk people with. Whereas you've got them on their stomach and you have one of their arms behind their back. Shinya Aoki is basically like, are you going to tap? This guy refuses. Shinya Aoki snaps the guy's arm clean. Then proceeds to flip him off and give the crotch chop to the ring card girls.
So he's Shawn Michaels. Asian Shawn Michaels.
That's Aoki. Hirota, meanwhile, is lying there with a broken arm, had to take off 1.5 years to rehab the injury. When he left, he was 31. When he came back, he was 33. Then I started noticing that he just wasn't all there anymore. So he comes stateside and he signs with Strikeforce. He takes on Pat Healy. Pat Healy beats him up. Now, Pat Healy's a big, strong wrestling grinder. Hirota puts up a decent fight, but he gets grinded out by Pat Healy. He loses. Strikeforce is purchased by the UFC, so he gets a UFC deal out of that. Takes on Ronnie Yaya. Ronnie Yaya is a grappler. Ronnie Yaya completely out-grapples him and beats him by decision. They give him another fight. He takes on Rodrigo Dam, a grappler. Loses a split decision. So they cut Hirota. Done. Now he's 35 years old. He gets a chance to join a reality show where the winner of the show gets to fight one more time in the UFC. They take him because the rest of them are young kids. They need an aging veteran. So they throw Hirota on there. He gets a draw in the finals. The guy that he drew with has fought 3 times since then. Hirota, who's much older, has been rehabbing even more injuries. The arm has never been fully fixed. He's got a bad shoulder. He's just got a plethora of injuries. And aside from all that, he's a boxer. He's always been a boxer. Boxer wrestler, they say. Cole Miller has 7-inch reach advantage and height advantage. So he's going to be able to stick him with the jab. When the Hirota tries to close the distance, he'll plow him with the right hand. If Hirota does close the distance, he's got to swing upwards to try to hit Miller. And last of all, Miller's not a good wrestler, so I don't expect him to really try for the takedown, which I wish he would. But if the fight does hit the ground, he's going to sub this guy. So I think he's got lots of paths to victory. For $8,100, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it. It sounds like I'm super confident in him, and I do like him. I wouldn't play him on a cash team. He's got a lot of risk here. He's going to have a good performance, and he's a guy that's said to himself, I don't want to fight in the UFC after this fight. I still want to fight. But the UFC's been mistreating me, and I want to go elsewhere. So a big win would serve your free agent status a big boost. And last point on that is that Mizuta Harada's had 2 fights in the UFC. He lost both of them, and then he got cut. He's 3 fights. He's 0-2-1. This is going to be his 4th fight. Cole Miller's had 19 fights in the UFC. He's very well traveled. He's very well experienced. He's not a quitter. People keep saying he wants out of his UFC contract. He's going to quit. He's not throwing a fight, man. It's not going to happen.
Last thing I did want to bring up, Michelle Watterson is averaging 110 DraftKings points per fight, taking on Paige Van Zandt. Can she win?
Michelle Watterson can absolutely win. Now, she's averaging that many because she's had 1 fight in the UFC, right? Go in the UFC. She takes on Angela Magana, who's the worst fighter probably in the division. She
kills her.
Well, she had a rough first round. That's the thing. It wasn't a great first round. And then in the second round, it's like, oh, yeah, Angela Magana's crap. Okay, get her down, choke her out. I'm not going to lie. I'm going back and forth between Paige and Watterson. Watterson is better all around. She's better standing. She's better on the ground. She's the better fighter. She's 30. At 8 years of extra experience, that goes a long way. She's fought the higher level of opposition. She's won a world title in Invicta. Paul Shaughnessy makes a great point. When Paige Van Zandt started training in MMA, she was in high school. She walked into a gym, and I guess she was getting bullied, and she was like, oh, I want to learn MMA. When she walked into that gym, okay, Michelle Watterson was already a black belt in karate. She was already established. She's a fighter. Now, here's the one reason why I think Paige has some merit. Michelle Watterson was one of the best ever. Then she had a kid, and then that took her on the sidelines. Then she came back, and she just didn't really look the same. So she tried to defend her Invicta title, and she's doing okay, and then she gets armbarred in the 3rd round by an unheralded opponent at the time. She gets submitted. It's like, oh, geez. I really expected more out of Watterson. The UFC signs are coming off the laws. So now the theory is people are saying, maybe she tried to lose that fight so that she could get out of her contract. I don't think so. I think that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. But she does get the contract. Now she takes on Magana, and lo and behold, she almost gets armbarred again. She just didn't look good. I think this is a girl that was hot shit. She was going to be a world champion. Sky's the limit for him. And that's when you're focused on yourself, man. That's when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm going to go run 5 miles today. Then I'm going to go do my first strength and conditioning session of the day. Then I'm going to get some sparring rounds in. Then I'm going to rest. That's when you're thinking about yourself. And that's how you become the best. Paige Van Zandt has got nothing to worry about but herself. And her whole team, they worry about her. That's just the routine and the life she's living. I think Waterson's got prior commitments, other commitments, being that she's married, being that she owns a home, being that she has a child, all of that. Now she's 30. Now it's just different things. So the biggest thing, the reason I'm flip-flopping is when I project the fight in my head, Paige Van Zandt loses the first round. Paige Van Zandt loses the second round, but it's more competitive. Paige wins the third. Paige wins the fourth. Paige either finishes her in the fourth or wins the fifth. So wins 3, 4, and 5, and she's going to take the decision, and she's going to outwork her. But I forget, I should know who said this. Someone tweeted me a great point. They're like, you're openly admitting that Waterson's the better fighter. You're openly admitting that she's better standing, she's better on the ground. The only thing you're giving to Paige is the heart. How could you bet someone based on heart? And that is extremely great point. How could you base someone just on the thought that she'll break her down the longer the fight goes? It's a tough fight. It's a very tough fight.
So you're staying away.
I thought about putting Waterson on this GPP team. I did. I also thought about putting Van Zandt, but it's a coin flip, and, you could very easily get this one wrong.
Cody Saftik. Check him out on Twitter, at CJ Saftik. Remember to follow the Bookie Beatdown on the Fight Network YouTube page or on Twitter, at Bookie_Beatdown. Big win last week at 206, by the way. I want to give you a special shout-out for that.
Yes,
I won some monies. I know other people won some monies, too.
No, it was a good week for sure. And as we talk about, you're not going to win every single one, but
when you win big.
Yeah, you win big, and then you just kind of hang out in that intermediate until you can get that next big win together.
Yeah, it's like a rest round. You're just trying to tread some water. You might lose the round. You might not. Try to get a quick draw out of it, and then boom.
Well, you know what? We've been at 70% on cash games,
Yep.
I think, this year so far. So it's been a profitable year. I'm going to knock on some wood, whatever. That wasn't really wood. It's like a plastic top. However, we're doing good. So like you said, this is probably the last episode of the year. So I would love to finish it with a bang. I'm not the most confident in these teams, but when I look at it, I think they certainly do have a good shot.
All right. You can follow me at the PME on Twitter. Remember, if you want to check out some of those shows I was briefly talking about off the top, you can subscribe to the Pat Mayo Hour audio versions on Audio Boom, iTunes, and Stitcher. If you want the video versions, go to the Fantasy Sports Network YouTube page or watch it on Roku. You can watch it on Apple TV, Xbox One, or just subscribe to the Fantasy Sports Network television channel. Check out your local listings. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.